This is All India Radio Mangaluru. Dear listeners, in today's Talk in English program now, Shri Anil Kumar V. Shankarapura, a teacher, will speak on the topic Effective Implementation of National Education Policy 2020.
When water stops moving and accumulates at one particular place, it slowly gets contaminated. Water remains pure and is more useful when it moves on exploring new lands. Today, we get new features in mobile apps only when we update them. Similarly, if educational structure don't cater to the needs of present world, then it will decrease the quality of human resource. In this regard, new education policy is a revolutionary step taken by the government. But I'm afraid that unscientific implementation may end up in total chaos. The structure of NEP is really desirable, but I would like to point out some of the loopholes in the implementation of this perceptive educational policy. If the problems at grassroots level were left unchecked, then we fail to see the expected fruit of NEP. Unfortunately, most of the teachers themselves are not made to understand the core of NEP 2020. Trainings like NISTA and so on are arranged for the teachers, and the teachers must complete these trainings through their cell phones, computer, or other such gadgets. There are many courses in these training programs, and at the end of each course, there will be 20 questions, and one must secure minimum 14 marks in 3 attempts to get this course completed. And let me tell you the bitter reality of these trainings. Since answers for these questions are already available on YouTube, most of the teachers copy these answers. Some don't even bother to look into the contents of the courses as the answers are available and skip the pages. Some even go to the extent of answering questions at the beginning and then they go on skipping the modules until they reach the end. So what's the use of these kinds of trainings? If the education department train the teachers in these manners, then the real benefits of NEP 2020 will be a mirage. Workshops and other such trainings must be arranged instead of ineffective virtual trainings. In NISTA or similar other sorts of trainings, the resource persons are so-called upgraded teachers. These teachers are the same people who suggest the high school teachers to use teaching aids and to do a variety of activities in the process of teaching. But if you look into their way of teaching in these trainings, it is totally against of their own suggestions, which were given to the teachers. Most of them just read out whatever that appears on their laptops and on the screen present in the studio without any elaboration. Lack of efficient teachers is one more hindrance for the effective implementation of NEP 2020. Diverse criteria employed by the universities regarding evaluation and marks is also responsible for the selection of inefficient teachers. For example, Mangalore University is known for its efficiency. It is good to maintain efficiency and standard, but when other universities are following liberal evaluation and giving more marks, people who are graduated from such universities will get government jobs, whereas people who were graduated under Mangalore University will be deprived of government jobs. It's like the gold medalists of efficient universities are still striving to get government jobs, and students of universities which follow liberal evaluation are getting promotions in government jobs. And when such students become a government teacher, then how can we expect efficiency from the teachers who passed out from such universities? Who is responsible for this anarchy? It is desirable that all the universities follow a standardized method of evaluation. Otherwise, the number of inefficient teachers will increase, and the gold medalists of so-called reputed universities will continue to write competitive examination. The structure of NEP is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, in which 5 includes 3 years of Anganwadi followed by Class 1 and Class 2. Second stage of 3 stands for Class 3, Class 4 and Class 5. Third stage of 3 includes Class 6, Class 7 and Class 8. And the last 4 means Class 9, Class 10, Class 11 and Class 12. This structure of NEP is really a wonderful one. But there is a problem in the implementation because the schools which consist only primary having the classes till 7th standard must add one more class of 8th. Since some private schools lack infrastructures, they already decided to close class 6th and 7th to avoid the burden of adding one more class of 8th. At the same time, the schools which have classes of 8th, 9th and 10th must involve 11th and 12th. So to avoid this burden, private schools already plan to close 9th and 10th so that they can manage till 8th. It will avoid the expenses of involving class 11 and 12. When this happens, then the students who finish class 5th must go to one more school to continue the education of class 6th, 7th and 8th. And students who complete 8th must join one more new school to complete their class 9th, 10th, 11th as well as 12th. So students must go on changing their schools to complete 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. And if these schools are situated far away from their village, students will suffer. So, the breaking down of structure will lead to unseen and peculiar problems. Hence, before implementing NEP 2020, government must take care of these issues by finding some alternatives. It is evident that whenever new education policies are introduced, government shows stepmotherly attitude towards private schools. Whenever new education policies reach private schools and teachers, it will be so late that by the time the government will be planning to introduce one more newer policy. Take for instance CCE, Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation. When government gave CCE training to the private teachers, it was so late that it ended up in total chaos that each private school started to follow their own way of CCE. As a result of this, students are deprived of the benefits of new educational policies. Compared to government schools, the number of students is more in the private schools, so the number of children who fail to reap the benefits of education policies is high. Even NEP trainings were first given to government teachers, and after much gap, training was given to the private teachers, and that too in inefficient way. So trainings must be given in efficient manner without any discrimination. On the other hand, some private schools recruit less qualified teachers and they are not even able to understand the concept of NEP. New education policy prefers mother tongue based education, and this will hamper the financial prospects of some private English medium schools. Hence, some of them are not enthusiastic of NEP 2020. So, government should assess the qualifications of all the private school teachers and take some measures to mitigate the inefficiency of some private schools. As per the new rules and regulations, one must complete B.Ed to teach till class 8, must complete PG if they want to teach till class 12. If it is so, those who teach degree must complete PhD. Then what about the qualification of those who teach at university level? Instead of this confusion, it is better to upgrade the text itself rather than upgrading the qualifications of teachers. And time and again, teachers must be given enrichment training regarding their subjects. There is one more problem regarding qualification of teachers. A teacher must complete post-graduation in any one subject to teach high school. But in subjects like social science, there are many segments like history, political science, geography, sociology, business studies, and economics. So when a teacher has done MA in history, then how can he teach political science? How can he teach business studies and the other remaining segments of social science? How far this is scientific? In India, caste and craft go together. The urban India learn to welcome all sorts of profession. But some rural population is still reluctant towards this change. So, while implementation of NEP 2020, teachers in rural areas must focus on the skill of student rather than his caste. New education policy aims at imparting education through mother tongue. It is a desirable development. But there is lack of terminologies in many Indian languages. So, before implementing, there must be research which will make students to get exact terms with regard to all the concepts. So, without any practical homework, one should not implement such a revolutionary educational policy. E-learning is one more aspect of new education policy. Most of the private schools are already equipped with smart classrooms. But the conditions of the government schools is really sad. Forget about the digital equipments. The building of the government school itself is in a dangerous condition. Even students of private school can afford gadgets like smartphones for the advanced learning, whereas it is really difficult for the students of government schools. So government must think seriously regarding digitalization of all schools before implementing new education policy. One more boosting factor for the effective implementation of NEP is the presence of qualitative as well as quantitative teachers. But unfortunately, many government schools are facing the severe problem with regard to the shortage of teachers. Even today, we can see the government schools with a single teacher. NEP aims at specialization of skills, and it is possible only when there are different kinds of specialized teachers. When government shows interest in recruiting new skilled teachers, then only we can expect development of skills among students. Number of teachers in government schools is already less, and even these limited number of teachers are burdened with maintaining the records of students, the midday meal, milk, banana, egg, and so on. Half of the day of these limited number of teachers is spent on maintaining these records. Then how can a teacher get the time to concentrate on students? The government must think about recruiting additional staff who can maintain the records of schools. Only then teachers can focus on students. All the areas and the levels of education must be child-centered. It is a basic philosophy of education. As per the norms of NEP 2020, one should identify the skill of a student and then make the student to specialize in the same. When a teacher becomes the judge to recognize the skill of a student, then NEP fails to fulfill the basic principles of education. So, while implementing, teachers must not be judgmental regarding the skill of a student. Rather than must prepare the student to identify the skill and specialize in the same. Teachers must be given proper training before the implementation to avoid unfavorable consequences. As a whole, NEP 2020 is a need of the hour. But if implemented without proper foresightedness, then it will end up just as one more educational policy failing to fulfill the original aims and objectives. Let us hope that in the new year, the implementation of NEP may emerge like a phoenix and open the doors of new era of education. Thank you.
Dear listeners, you have just heard a speech, Effective Implementation of National Education Policy 2020, delivered by Shri Anil Kumar V. Shankarapura. This talk came to you from the studios of All India Radio Mangaluru.